Hello there. Um, Hopefully a short one today. I keep saying that, and obviously then the videos end up being 17,000 hours long, which is good. But this is hopefully actually going to be a short one. This one is where we meet Mercutio, who's often people's favourite character in Romeo and Juliet. Now, we've already met Romeo and Benvolio, and we know what kind of relationship they have. We've looked at that in previous videos. And um, now it's time to meet the third of the three. Of the kind of friends of Montague. Now, it's important to know that Benvolio is a Montague, Romeo is a Montague, Mercutio is not. He is, by blood, he is neutral, but he is friends with the Montagues. So he's on the Montagues' kind of side almost, but he is neutral because he's the cousin of our old pal Prince Ascalus. Now, in this part, we see that Romeo is pretty down still. You know, he's not kind of with Rosaline, all this kind of stuff. But we have Mercutio here, who's going to try and make him feel better, in a phrase. Now, one way to think about Mercutio and Benvolio, in my opinion, is kind of like the devil and the angel on the shoulder. That you've got Benvolio, who's this peaceful guy who wants to kind of stay calm, stay peaceful, and not do anything too brash. Then you've got Mercutio, who is, even by his name, Mercutio, as in Mercury, and I'll put what that means down there. By name is someone who is very volatile, he's very reactive. Okay, so we meet Mercutio, and he's very, very poetic. He's very he's very flamboyant and flowery with his language. Okay, he's often, for example, people often say that he is kind of one of the first gay characters or first bisexual characters because he's so kind of flamboyant. And often with more modern productions, Mercutio is often plagued by a female or plagued by someone who is clearly gay or stereotypically. I mean, obviously, but those kind of pushing beyond the stereotypical norms of what you'd expect from Elizabethan plays. Now, Mercutio teases Romeo all the way through, and then they have this kind of moan off almost, that this kind of poetic riff between the two. And he says, love is too rough, too rude, too boisterous, and it pricks like thorn. And then it's harsh. Love is too horrible, it's harsh. And Mercutio replies, if love be rough with you, be rough with love. Then, later on, after kind of this little fray between the two, which you will have read, and again, make sure you read this before you watch this video, we see that they start talking about dreams. Romeo says, I dreamt a dream last night. Mercutio says, and so did I. Romeo, well, what was yours? The dreamers often lie. Okay, we're seeing as well that kind of verse, that melodic bounce, the rhyming as well there as well. I don't know why I said it all there twice. Interesting. Mercutio then goes on one of the most famous speeches in Romeo and Juliet. This kind of monologue is called the Queen Mab speech. Now, Queen Mab, from what we can tell about kind of the world that Shakespeare's created here, is probably some kind of god of dreams or goddess of dreams, and she is someone who kind of controls what you think about when you sleep. Okay, and it starts off really kind of fairy tale-ish almost. He starts off, oh, then I see Queen Mab hath been with you. She's the fairy's midwife. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, her wagon spokes of long spinner's legs, the cover of the wings of grasshoppers. All this kind of natural imagery and kind of stereotypical kind of fairy tale almost. However, it starts to get darker throughout the speech, and we're starting to see that kind of reactive and kind of dangerous character, really, of Mercutio. Now, you might think about a microcosm there as well. What kind of microcosm is he? What does he symbolise? We spoke about what Benvolio symbolises, peace. We spoke about what Tybalt symbolises, anger, aggression, hate, that kind of stuff in Act 1, Scene 1. Think about what Mercutio you think symbolises. What kind of thing is he symbolising for us? And as we go further down, it gets more and more dark. Now, in Elizabethan times, queen and mab both were slang words for someone who was a whore, someone who was seeing a prostitute, some kind of derogatory word for a woman or someone who sold themselves for sex, basically. And obviously, the audience at that time would be aware of that bit of wordplay. Well, as soon as he says Queen Mab, oh, okay, that means something different to us, but okay, we'll stick with it. Now, towards the very, very end of this speech, I'm not going to go into this too much because it's not massively important. All it is us learning, again, character development, that Mercutio is this very volatile, chaotic almost, and almost uncontrollable character. But at the very, very end, he talks about the foul, sluttish hares. He talks about someone being a hag. Sexual references here. When maids lie on their backs, that presses them and learns them first to bear. First to bear as in first to bear a child. So he's talking about taking people's virginity there. Making them women of good courage. This is she. And then Romeo stops him. Peace, peace, Mercutio, peace. Thou talkest of nothing. As in, you are literally spouting absolute nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you doing? Kind of like when I go on a tangent in my lessons and we all kind of stop and realise, what the hell am I on about? And we all go, I don't know. It's exactly that, yeah? The final bit you need to know about this, other than kind of Mercutio's character development in this, is that Benvolio reminds him that, we're going to be late to this party and, we need to get there, basically. Romeo says, I fear too early for my mind misgives some consequence, yet hanging in the stars. Okay? Now, from your context, again, you should know that the stars were used as a way of foretelling, as a way of predicting the future and deciding what your fate would be. Yeah, that's where star signs come from. The idea that, oh my god, he's a Sagittarius and I'm a Libra, we're perfectly matched together. Obviously, that's not true at all. It's complete nonsense. The idea of fate kind of linked into the stars, that once, the stars aligned, certain things would happen, etc. So he says, some consequence yet hanging in the stars shall bitterly begin this fearful date. Okay, fearful date. I just said Mr. Curtis T. Do you hear that? Date. With this night's revels and expire the term of a despised life closed in my breast by some vile forfeit of untimely death. Okay, we know from the prologue he's going to die. Yeah, star-crossed lovers take their life. We know he's going to kill himself. So we already know he's going to die and this is going to be the end of him. That the stars have already decided, the fate has been already decided that this will kill him. Now, again, with a few things, there's different interpretations here. I often kind of see this as like a bit of dramatic irony where the audience kind of click on what he's saying, but he doesn't realise what he's saying. So you're invited to a party or something and you say, oh, if I go, it's going to kill me. That, it's that kind of flippant comment. And that's kind of what I see from Romeo here. I don't actually think he's really getting a premonition of his future. That could be true, but I personally wouldn't say that's true. My untimely death. Okay? By some vile forfeit of untimely death. But he that hath the steerage of my course direct my sail on lusty gentlemen. Okay? Now, lusty meaning kind of sexually driven and driven through arousal, basically. One of the things I want you to think about with this lesson as well is what is the difference between lust and love? And you will have seen that in the lesson, but there's an important difference. And I know we've mentioned this before, but this is a good time to kind of remind ourselves what is the difference between the two and which do each of the characters feel at certain times is something we should be thinking about. Right, that is it from me. So, any questions, let me know, and I will see you soon.